The tennis world has many new contenders coming up, and the competition is getting tougher with every passing day. Just recently, there has been a lot of confusion and comparisons between two famous Spaniards, Carlos Alcaraz and Rafael Nadal, and now an expert has come forward with his opinion. Today, let's talk about how Nicolas Lapentti explains why Carlos Alcaraz is better than Rafael Nadal at the age of 19. Stay tuned as we find out more, starting out with who he thinks is better. Former world number 6 Nicolas Lapentti recently drew parallels between the adolescent careers of Carlos Alcaraz and Rafael Nadal. Former Ecuadorian player Lapentti discussed different aspects of both players' skills on an edition of the Craig Shapiro Tennis Podcast. He said that the Spaniards were about as good defensively, but that Alcaraz was superior to serve and net play. The former world number 6 claims that Alcaraz is much superior to Nadal at the age of 19 in many respects. I'd rather have him as my server than Rafa. He makes a more direct approach from the outset. Before Rafa improved and became more aggressive at age 19, he had a terrible time making the shift. The way they move is also quite similar, he noted. Both of them shine when the defense is a priority, and when it comes to the net, Alcaraz is leagues ahead of where Rafa was when he was 19 years old. Alcaraz excels in a number of respects. Next, Nicolas dished about Nadal. In the same podcast, Nicolas Lapentti recalled meeting a stubborn Rafael Nadal, then 17 years old, for the first time in 2003. While the 46-year-old remembers coming out on top, he also recalls that the adolescent fought like a bull, a terrible realization for Nicolas. Nadal had this thing where he's simply the greatest at competing. For the last 20 years, every single point has been made every single week. It's been 20 years. He claimed to have portrayed Rafa in Bastad back in 2003. Rafa was just 17 years old when they first met. In the deciding third set, he won 7-6. He deflected 4 match points. As he recalled it, he was a gigantic youngster with a baby's face and enormous arms who fought like a bull. Lapentti has praised 19-year-old Carlos Alcaraz for his impressive form, but he has also expressed doubt that the 2022 U.S. Open winner can maintain a level of consistency comparable to that of Federer, who has won 22 Grand Slam titles and hasn't dropped out of the top 10 of the ATP rankings since 2005. So that's already almost 20 years ago. I mean, he's been on tour for 20 years. So that amazes me the most. Is Alcaraz going to stay 10 years on top? I think Rafa hasn't left the top 10 in the past 20 years or something. I mean, it's just crazy, he expressed. Not to mention, Carlos is doing wonders while Rafa struggles. After Rafael Nadal was eliminated from the ATP finals, Carlos Alcaraz was poised to become the youngest year-in number 1 in men's tennis history. Alcaraz, who won the U.S. Open at the age of 19, 214 days before the end of the year, broke Leighton Hewitt's record of being the youngest player to ever finish the year as the world number 1. The young Spaniard is now recovering from an abdominal injury he suffered at the Paris Masters earlier this month, so he will miss this year's ATP Finals in Turin, Italy. However, his countryman, Nadal's early departure from the competition, gives him a reason to rejoice. The youngster had a phenomenal year, taking home 5 ATP trophies and becoming the men's tennis world's youngest number 1 after winning the New York Grand Slam. However, after losing 6-3, 6-4 to Felix Auger-Aliassime on Tuesday and Casper Ruud taking the first set against Taylor Fritz, the 36-year-old Nadal bowed out of the Turin event and missed out on a chance to overtake Alcaraz atop the global rankings. What's more, let's go over Rafa's struggles. Since the U.S. Open in September, Nadal has battled for form, and his loss against Auger-Aliassime was his 4th straight defeat, dating back to 2009. It followed losses to Tommy Paul at the Paris Masters and Francis Tiafoe at the U.S. Open, both of whom he defeated in straight sets, and a loss to Taylor Fritz in Turin earlier this week. As far as he's concerned, he never lost the mental fortitude necessary to play tennis, to go back to where he wants to be. He says he only has to regain the good emotions, self-assurance, and resolve he once had. Nadal got 4 break points in the opening set against Auger-Aliassime, but he couldn't convert any of them. By breaking Nadal's serve at 5-3, The Canadian had the upper hand and quickly won the set. Auger-Aliassime evened the score in the second set by breaking Nadal at 1-1, and then he served 3 consecutive aces to seal the deal. The world's 6th-ranked player, who won in little under 2 hours, served out the match with 15 aces. So after losing to Ruud in his first encounter on Sunday, Auger-Aliassime still has a chance to advance to the knockout rounds of the ATP Finals. Let's talk about how Ferrero Alcaraz craved the Djokovic challenge in 2023. According to coach Juan Carlos Ferrero, Carlos Alcaraz is eager to take on more challenges after achieving great success this season. After making headlines with victories against Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic at the Mutua Madrid Open in May, the Spanish teenager claimed his maiden Grand Slam title at the US Open. He plans to accomplish both next year, along with beating them in a Grand Slam tournament. He remarked that, in his opinion, in order for Carlos to really advance his tennis skills, he must face off against a legend. There's little doubt he and Novak will face Rafa in the tournament. Ferrero praised Alcaraz's performance against Djokovic in Madrid, noting that he played at a high level and still won. Ferrero stated that he stepped up his game to try to win the match. He feels it's crucial for Carlos to become better so that they can compete with him in slams. Following up, Carlos is ready for Noel's comeback, and now that the Australian government has said Djokovic may compete there again, his comeback might be as soon as the first slam of the year. The Serbian ended the season by winning the Nitto ATP Finals, giving him a total of 9 Australian Open titles. Ferrero added that he and Carlos were discussing how pleased they were to see Novak in the tournament, reasoning that he has to beat the greatest players to win the Australian Open. In any case, their victory in Turin was not anticipated by him. With an abdominal ailment, Alcaraz had to miss the ATP Finals and Davis Cup, but he claims he's well now and plans to train in Tenerife over the winter. His breakout performance this year will put him in a new position next year as the undisputed best player. He predicts a challenging season, since he will start as the favorite and will be under intense scrutiny. A passion for the sport and the ability to perform at his best are prerequisites for his success. Later next month in Abu Dhabi, Alcaraz will play in an exhibition tournament called the Mubadala World Tennis Championships. As of now, there is a lot of confusion about who the masses will like if there is a comparison between the two. Will it be Noel with his years of experience, or will it be Carlos, who might make space for himself as the future Big Three? The jury's still out. Not to mention, Juan Carlos is having a great time with Alcaraz. Juan Carlos Ferrero, who coached Alexander Zverev before he and the German parted ways, said it was not simple to deal with the young player and that he needed someone like Carlos Alcaraz. Zverev and Ferrero's relationship ended in early 2018, and it was not amicable. As mentioned at the time, Ferrero was reportedly frustrated by Zverev's lack of professionalism, while the Germans desired more flexibility. While not competing, Alcaraz, then a teenager, began working with Ferrero in late 2018. After just 4 years, Alcaraz won a Grand Slam tournament and became the youngest number 1 in tennis history. Alcaraz is a huge fan of Coach Ferrero and his emphasis on dedication and professionalism in sports. He compared Carlos to his elder son, saying that he is like another son to him. Carlos is his second player under his mentorship, and as a coach, he believes he is always learning new things from him. They're amid a shared developmental process together. The coach also added that working with him is a breeze, since he's such a nice person. Ferrero said that at the age of 19, he unlocked around 60% of his potential after winning the US Open Grand Slam. If that's the case, he hasn't seen anything yet, but it can't be denied that the Spaniard is already amongst the finest players in the world and a serious threat in every competition he enters. During the month of January, the star will be attempting to win his first Australian Open championship. That's a wrap for this video. So what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one.
Una serie muy buena, yo venía justamente de hacer semis de Australia, venía con mucha confianza,